What's going on, guys? Welcome back to NolanTCG, and we are back here today for another month of the OCG recap. So the OCG has seen somewhat of a fresh kind of deck change with their new ban list taking over. There is the small issue of Branded is still pretty much in everything, so that's quite wonderful as my Chamber Dragonmaid falls over on the desk. But yeah, so we've got 3 profiles coming through for you today. We've got one with the new Therion's cards. We've got one that is... Oh, I've already completely forgotten. It's Ancient Warriors, and then the other deck is Dinomorphia. So, yeah, we'll have a bit of variance today. We've got Trap Deck, not Trap Deck. I guess it actually is a Trap Deck. And then we've got Combo Deck. All play Vanity's Emptiness, which is showing how wonderful and diverse the OCG format seems to be at the moment. But yeah, first on screen, we of course do have our Therion's list. So this is Therion's Despia. I think it's how you say it. Therion's Despia? Yeah. We'll definitely get into an intro to Therions in a future video, so do subscribe if you do look forward to that one. But of course, starting us off for this list, we do have 3 copies of Aluba with the 3 copies of Ash Blossom, 1 Effect Veiler, 1 Albaz, and then 3 Maxi for the kind of rest of our monster lineup. Then we get into our Therion's engine, so we've got 1 copy of Bull, 1 copy of Duke, 3 copies of King, 1 copy of Leaper, and then 1 copy of Lily. So King pretty much just makes everything go around for the entire engine. So it is, of course, your 3 max of. You max it out at 3. The others are more little tech pieces. So yeah, they just kind of come up here and there, which is the reason why they're all at least here in a one-off. Then we go into our Branded Fusion next. Of course, we're playing Branded, so Branded Fusion is the reason why we're playing it, because it's bastard. 1 copy of Branded High Spirits comes through after that, with the 2 copies of Called by the Grave and 1 Crossout Designator. We have 3 copies of Perpetual Engine Argo System. This is, of course, a Therion's card. It just doesn't have Therion's in the name to kind of limit its searchability in future with more support. Then 3 copies of Prosp come through after that with the 1 copy of Terraforming. 3 copies of the Field Spell, which is, of course, what you're searching off the Terraforming, which is Therion's Rings of the Colosseum Saucer. And then 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence come through after that. For the Trap card, of course, we do have the 1 copy of Therion's Cross and the 1 copy of Vanity's Emptiness. For the extra deck, I do have a question to anyone who has built this deck and has been messing around with this deck. Why is D3S Frog in here? I couldn't figure it out. I'm fairly sure I'm just missing something incredibly obvious, but I cannot figure out why this deck plays D3S Frog, and I love it for playing it. But the rest of our extra deck, of course, is the 2 copies of Albion the Branded Dragon for that extra fusion summon, with the 1 copy of Brigand the Glory Dragon. Of course, we do have that 1 B3S Frog with the 1 copy of Absolute Zero. Again, Absolute Zero, same application, but I'm fairly sure there must be some kind of interaction in this deck that allows you to fusion with stuff that's not stuff's name. Yeah. Yeah, again, comment below if you know how to do that, because I read everything, and I probably just missed something. I know Branded Fusion does the, fusion summoning and extra shit, but I'm fairly sure they changed the ruling in the OCG with, that graveyard interaction, plus those cards aren't in the deck. But we're on a bit of a tangent, just because I really want to know how this D3S Frog works. After that, we do have the 1 Labelle the Searing Dragon, and then 2 copies of Mirror Jade the Ice Dragon, of course, more structure deck stuff as we all have coming up in the TCG, not the OCG. Then we have the 1 copy of Dragostapelli coming through after that, with the 1 copy of Sprint the Iron Dash Dragon. Then for our Xyz lineup, we of course have the OTK package with the 1 Numeron, the 1 38, and the 1 Draglubion. 1 copy of Cerberus comes through after that, with the 1 copy of Verte Anaconda rounding out the extra deck. For the side deck, we do have the 1 copy of Alpha Master of Beasts with the 1 copy of Prank, 1 Effect Veiler, and 1 Ghost Mourner. Ghost Mourner must, I guess, hit this deck at some point, so that's the reason why he's playing it, probably for the 1 crossout target. Yeah, bit interesting. I guess it works. You're summoning back and you're immediately responding. Kind of plays around. I think Albion, that would play around pretty well. Then we have 3 copies of Nibiru coming through after that with the 1 copy of Token Collector, 2 copies of Lightning Storm, 2 Twin Twisters, 2 Anti-Spell, and 1 Red Reboot to round out the extra deck. Okay, next off we have another fun and interactive deck which plays apparently just the trap card that everyone in the OCG plays nowadays, and that is the 1 copy of Vanity's Emptiness. But this is Ancient Warriors. Of course, this deck does Big Bounce, which means you can turn off your extra stuff. So you've got the 1 Order, 1 Summon Limit, and 1 Vanities. These can all just be bounced with the Link monster, so yeah, that's how you kind of play around getting locked into that kind of stuff. Then you keep playing, you reset the trap card, then yeah, very fun. That is essentially the playstyle for this deck. It is break the opponent's board with stuff like the Super Polys and everything, then just set the spell and trap cards, and then grind out the game that way. Get to that Link 2, of course. But for all of our line here, we have 3 copies of Eccentric Li Jing, 1 copy of Fearsome Zhangwan, 1 copy of Graceful Zonggong, 1 copy of Ingenious Zukong. I should really have chosen a different deck, man. I'm not good with the names. I've probably butchered half of them already. Then we have the 1 copy of Loyal Guan Yun, 3 copies of Masterful Sun Mu, 2 copies of Rebellious Lu Fang, and then we have the new OCG card, and that is 2 copies of the Tyrannical Dong Ying. And then lastly, for our Ancient Warrior main lineup, we have the 1 copy of Valiant ZD. I think this one is your Cyber Dragon, of course. Or is that Long Guan? I don't know. I'm gonna get mixed up. It's Long Guan Yun. That is the Cyber Dragon, the good one, the one that's I like to splash in everything. Then we have after that our hand trap lineup. So of course 3 Ash, 1 Valar, 2 Ghost Spell, and 2 Maxi. For the spell cards, we have the 1 copy of Borrowing of Arrows, 1 of the other new spell card, which is Ancient Saga, Deception and Betrayal, and then 3 copies of 3 Visits, of course, coming through after that. It's just your generic searcher. And then we have 2 copies of Call by the Grave with the 1 copy of Crossout, with the 2 copies of Tenki, again, searching the entire deck. 1 copy of Feather Duster with 1 copy of Reborn coming through after that, with 3 copies of Prosperity for consistency and 2 Super Poly for breaking the opponent's board. Then we have a bunch of one-offs in the trap lineup. So the 1 Imperial Order, 1 copy of Ice Dragon's Prison, 1 Summon Limit, and 1 Vanities. The 3 Floodgates, of course, I mentioned it earlier, but you just turn them off when it's time for you to use them, and then you just reset them, because, you know, fun and interactive. Then we have 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence, of course, rounding out the main deck. For the extra deck, we do have our Super Poly targets in 1 Nether Soul, 1 copy of Mud Dragon, and 1 copy of Dragostapelia. For our Xyz line, we have the 1 Bahamut Shark, 1 Zeus, 1 Rhapsody and Berserk, and 1 copy of Totally Awesome. I'm fairly sure the play is to go like Bahamut, Rhapsody, detach from Bahamut, summon Toad, then you Rhapsody under Bahamut, and then make Zeus. Which actually gives you quite a lot of materials under that Zeus, which seems pretty cool. Then for our Link lineup, we have the 1 copy of Access Code Talker, the 3 copies of the Double Dragons, of course, best card in the deck, of course, we mentioned it earlier, turning off all of your continuous traps. Very, very good. Then we have just a bunch of Charmers, so we've got 1 Dark, 1 Area, and then 1 Win the Wind Charmer, and then we have the 1 copy of Underworld Goddess, of course, coming through after that. Then we see this very fun and interactive side deck, much like the main deck build. We see 3 copies of Lightning Storm, 2 Deep Barrier, 3 Evenly Matched, 2 copies of Imperial Iron Wall, 2 copies of Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, and then triple Skill Drain. Okay, and last off we have I guess the new archetype we've just gotten in the TCG, although we are missing some of the stuff still. In particular, like the ability to make the big fusion monster with the fusion trap. These cards we'll surely get at a later time, we just don't have them at the current present moment. These do make the deck considerably better. So for the main deck, of course, we start off with 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Then for our Dinomorphias, some of these are Dinoruphias, some of them are Dinomorphias. They haven't changed all the names yet in Dueling Book, so it's a little confusing. But we have the 1 copy of Diplos, the Burner, and then we have the 3 copies of Threeza. This is just set directly from the deck, which is always good. Then 3 copies of Effect Veiler with the 1 copy of Ghost Spell and 3 copies of Maxi after that. For the spell line, it's pretty brief. We've got the 2 Call by the Grave and the 1 Crossout to try and ensure our plays resolve. 2 copies of Fossil Dig, of course, because these are dinosaurs. And then 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity to dig through the deck. 2 copies of Prosperity because we just deleted 1. Then for our trap line, we've got 2 copies of Anti-Spell Fragrance. Then we get into the Dinomorphia. So we've got 2 copies of Brute, 3 copies of Domain, 1 copy of Sonic, and then the Fusion Spell, or the good Fusion Spell, I guess, with the 3 copies of Frenzy coming through after that. 1 copy of Ferret Flames in the main deck. Quite cute. I guess you're dropping your life points incredibly low, so Ferret Flames is definitely going to come up. Then we have 1 copy of Imperial Order with the 3 copies of Impermanence, 1 Rivalry, and like every other deck in the OCG, 1 copy of Vanity's Emptiness. For the extra deck, we are just pretty much maxing out on the stuff we need, and then we have a bunch of Super Poly targets coming through after that. So we've got the 3 copies of Kentrigina. 3 copies of Stealth Bergia, 3 copies of Rexstrom. These are just essentially your 3 good cards. And then you have your Super Poly targets coming through after that. So we have the 1 copy of Earth Golem, 1 Eldritch, 1 Masquerade, 1 Dragostapelia, and 1 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. And then lastly, we have Psychic End Punisher, another card that is new for the OCG, so we'll get it soon enough. Also interacts very, very well with this deck. You're essentially trying to make it, I believe, off 2 of the Dinomorphias and an Ash Blossom, because I think it's an 11. And then, yeah, again, it just gets huge depending on the difference between life points. And given that this deck drops its life points so low, again, yeah, becomes a very powerful card. Typically, this card will be game once you declare an attack with it. And then we go into our side deck. So, of course, we have the 3 copies of Nibiru with the 1 copy of Pancratops and 1 Token Collector, 3 copies of Lightning Storm, 2 copies of Super Poly, 1 Duster, 3 Evenly, and then the 3rd anti-spell hangs around in the side deck. But that does wrap us up here for this month's OCG recap. So as always, do comment down below any decks that you want me to find from the OCG. I'll make sure to try and cover them. There was one list that I really wanted to find, but I couldn't find it this month. It was like a 60 card Eldritch Grass Dragon Maid list, and I was like, I really like the sound of that, and I wanted to find it, but I just couldn't find it anywhere, and I'm quite disappointed. But as always, I've been Ben from NolanTCG, and have a good afternoon, everybody.